Welcome to this week's edition of The Hot Seat. I'm Taylor Mankel here, joined with Zach Rodgers, College of Democrats president here. Thanks for being here, Zach.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So, what we're going to do here today, I'm going to ask you some questions kind of about your journey here at Iowa State, your involvement with the Iowa State College of Democrats. We'll do a little devil's advocate part where I try to catch you up, get that seat a little hot here on the hot seat, talk about some important stuff and some stuff that's coming up in the news, current stuff in the news right now. So we'll start off with yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your year in school, major, and why you chose to come to Iowa State.
I am a senior in political science, as you could probably guess. I chose Iowa State. It was a place I had always looked at when I was younger. A couple other schools I visited in Iowa, but Iowa State just seemed like home, and it's a beautiful campus, so I'm happy to be here.
Perfect. And now, what would you consider your favorite part of the university?
Probably the Memorial Union, probably because I spend a lot of time there. It's also just a beautiful building inside and out. That's probably my favorite spot on campus.
Okay, and once you got to Iowa State, when and how did you get involved with the Iowa State University College of Democrats?
So my freshman year was the 2014 midterm election, and coming from a small, more rural and conservative town, I knew I was a Democrat, but there weren't very many Democrats in my hometown. So when I got here, I saw that Iowa State had a thing called the College Democrats, and I went ahead and went to a meeting to see what it was all about. Really connected with the people, and because it was during a campaign cycle, I started volunteering, doing things like that. So just really hit the ground running my first year here, getting involved, and just haven't stopped going since.
And tell us a little bit more about the organization. What do you guys do? What do you represent?
So right now our big focus, of course, is getting Hillary Clinton and all of our down-ticket Democrats elected here in a week. And we just stand for everything that the Democratic Party is about. We're inclusive and open to everyone. We always welcome new ideas. We don't really shun people away. So we just kind of represent the Democratic Party and how a lot of young people our age feel about politics and about different social and economic issues.
And going off of that, how much do you think that your party, the Democratic Party, really is driven by millennials who have these more open beliefs than previous in the United States?
Well, we can definitely look at in 2007, 2008 with the election of Barack Obama. He had a lot of young people turn out to vote for him, and since then the momentum really hasn't stopped. It's definitely at least stayed the same at the very least. And we're just continuing to grow and grow, and more young people, I think, are finally starting to get involved, and they do tend to choose the Democratic Party just because they hold the same beliefs that we do.
All right. Now we're going to get into the part where that seat gets a little hot. We're going to do devil's advocate here, where I will bring up some topics that are not necessarily Democratic geared, maybe some from the Republican side as well. We're going to start off with something that's all over the news currently. What are your thoughts and your organization's thought about Hillary Clinton and the email scandal that's going on now?
So, that's been an issue or a scandal or whatever you want to call it this entire campaign. And at this point, we're a week out from the election, and, we're all just kind of sick and tired of hearing about it. Even last fall, I think it was the first debate between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley, and Bernie said, I'm sick and tired of hearing about her emails, and that was over a year ago, and they're still being brought up even after she's given numerous testimonies. She's apologized for using her own server. Looking back, she said it wasn't in her best interest. Other previous secretaries of state used their own personal emails. The FBI said there wasn't anything wrong. They are looking into it again. But we're just at the point where it's not really an issue for us. We're just trying to get past that and really focus on the issues that are important to all Americans.
For sure. And on to an issue that is pertinent to a lot of people out there, or is thought to be by the Democratic Party. Let's talk a little bit about renewable energy sources. Obviously, the Democratic Party, more so than the Republican, most other parties, is a opponent of creating sustainable places for energy. What do you say to people that think this shouldn't be funded by the government because it's so expensive?
Well, it may be expensive, but if we look at it in the long run, it's going to do a lot to help combat climate change, and also just provide more jobs if we're focusing on, if we pay into those to get them off the ground and start running, it's going to provide jobs for people to do, rather than just working in coal mines and things like that. And it's just a greener alternative. Iowa's at the near the top of the list when it comes to renewable energy. And I think if we kind of just play off of that at a national level, we could all be on green energy grids, in a couple decades at the very least.
And a big topic that's really started to form as a cut and dry black versus white, Republican versus Democrat issue is pro-choice or pro-life. Now, what do you say to those people? What does your organization support when people say abortion is the killing of individuals?
Well, but obviously we're definitely pro-choice, and it shouldn't really be up to the government or politicians to decide what a woman can and can't do with her body. If a woman decides that she's going to get an abortion, almost all the time it's done early on in the pregnancy, and usually it's not just because she just decides she doesn't want a baby. It's usually she's not ready at that stage in her life to have a baby, or there may be medical complications that could occur if she were to continue. There's just a lot that goes into it, and it's not really for any of us besides that woman to decide what she wants to do.
Absolutely. Now, this last one, I've brought it up in a couple hot seats before. What's your response to Donald Trump is going to make America great again?
Whenever he says that, and I'm sure you've seen Hillary Clinton and other Democrats talk about it, when he says he wants to make America great again, that means he wants to go back, probably more towards the 50s with all of his divisive rhetoric that he's been talking about when it comes to race, gender, sexual orientation, things like that. He's just trying to take our country back, and Hillary Clinton and the rest of the Democrats, we're just trying to continue moving our country forward on a more progressive scale, because we just can't afford to go back to the way things were.
All right. Now we're going to move forward into a section of the hot seat called In the News. We're going to touch on things that are really big in the news, current things in the news right now. And we're going to start off with something that's been sweeping the nation. It's been going on for a long time, but it's finally starting to catch on to mainstream media. What are your thoughts and your organization's thoughts towards the protests at Standing Rock in North Dakota right now, with a bunch of Native people gathering together to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline?
We definitely stand with them. We have our own pipeline issue going on right here in Story County and the rest of Iowa. We've been pretty vocal about resisting the Bakken pipeline here in Iowa, and we've done the same with the North Dakota pipeline as well. Obviously, we can't be out there in North Dakota with them, so we've all been checking in on Facebook to that location, as a lot of other people have done throughout the country as well. So we're just showing that we're standing in solidarity with our Native American citizens, just showing that we support them and that we know exactly what they're going through.
Another thing big in the news recently, especially in this campaign cycle, has been Trump and his comments and actions towards the treatment of women. What are your and your organization's thought on these?
We definitely disagree with them. We don't think that women should be treated differently just because they're women. And especially with all these sexual assault allegations coming out against him, I don't understand how any woman or anyone can support someone running for president that has sexually assaulted women, because that's simply unacceptable. No matter what reasons he gives or no matter what office you're running for, at any point it's unacceptable and it should be dealt with.
And what are your thoughts as the voice of the College of Democrats here on ISU TV's hot seat for the Black Lives Matter movement?
We definitely support Black Lives Matter. The same with women. Everyone should be treated equally. It shouldn't matter the color of your skin, your gender, your sexual orientation, anything like that. We're all human beings, and deep down we're all the same, despite our outward differences. And there's just no reason that we should be treated differently because of that. And it just goes to show that the civil rights movement is still alive and well, and that we still have to be fighting this fight, even 50, 60 years after Martin Luther King Jr.
Absolutely. And what are your and your organization's views on the current prison population in the United States, imprisoning more people than any other country and most other countries combined?
It's definitely an issue. We have the largest mass incarceration rate than any other country, and a lot of that is due to prisons that are run for profit. They have quotas they need to fill in order to make the money they need to, and that to me and my organization, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. You shouldn't just be imprisoning people because you need to be making money for that. They should only be imprisoned if they actually committed a crime that requires them to be put into prison.
And another economically really propelled issue here, talk a little bit about what your organization feels on the current state of military spending in the United States.
This is an issue that's always brought up, and military spending in this country is we spend so much on our military that we don't need to. We spend, I think, 7 to 10 times more than the next largest military, which is China. So we can definitely afford to cut back on some of our military spending and focus on other issues that can actually help Americans, rather than spending money on new planes or different things that we can't even use right now. Just things like that. We definitely support our military and appreciate what they do, but we just don't think that they need to be funded as highly as they are until that need arises.
And the last hot topic in the news for you to touch on here, what do you think and your organization think about gun control laws, potentially implementing more of them or dialing some of them back? What are your views and your organization views on this?
We support gun control and background checks, things like that. Especially this past year, we've had so many mass shootings in this country, and especially a lot of them aimed at places where there shouldn't be guns in the first place. In elementary schools, killing children, at churches, killing people who are just there to worship freely. All of those different things. You shouldn't have to worry about being shot simply because you're going to your elementary school, or because you're going to church, or you're going to a movie theater, or wherever it is. You shouldn't have that worry. And that's our biggest concern. It's just that people shouldn't be worried about leaving their homes because they're afraid that they're going to get shot. It's just something that doesn't need to happen, and there's just no reason that you need to be carrying a gun to a school or to a church, or that the laws are that relaxed that you're able to do so.
We've obviously covered a lot of big topics here today, so if you liked any of what you have heard, Zach, tell them how you can get involved with the ISU College of Democrats.
We meet every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. in Carver 160, so you're more than welcome to stop by our meetings and learn more about us. We'll also be out volunteering a lot this next week to elect Hillary Clinton and Democrats all up and down the ticket. And you can feel free to reach out to me or anyone else you see out on campus to get involved.
All right, perfect. Once again, Zach Rodgers, president of the ISU College of Democrats, here on this week's Hot Seat.